to see how we open both a digital and a print file in Adobe Illustrator. So let's go ahead and open it up. First, we'll start off with how do we open up a print file. So print is going to be anything that is not on the web or digital. So a flyer, a mug, a pen, anything that you're going to design merchandise for, large banners. So let's go ahead and do a simple flyer example. So we'll do File, New. So what we're going to do, you can name your file now. Name file now. You're just going to need one artboard for right now. Don't worry about profile. Size. There's two different kind of units you should really concern yourself with. Inches. Inches is the standard measurement for anything that's going to be a print project. And pixels is going to be anything for a digital project, like a social media ad. So today we're doing a print, so we're going to do inches. And width, let's do a standard 8.5 by 11-inch document. And if you're going to be sending this off to a professional printer, maybe a local printer, or you're going to send it to an online printer like Vistaprint, they usually require bleed, and that's usually in the settings or the details of the file. So what you're going to do is you're going to click once, and it's going to automatically add bleed all the way around your document. And the standard bleed on most print projects is 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125. And you just click up once, and you can click down to go back to no bleed. If you're not going to be, if you're printing at home, you don't need to add bleed. This is what bleed is when you print something at home at a home office printer, and you have that ugly white border around the edge because the ink can't print all the way to the edge without using a professional printer. So that's usually when you send off your document to somebody and they print it off with the ink that extends beyond the edges. So what you're going to do, and I'll show you, when you have your document, you're going to bleed it off the page. So we'll go in more detail later. Color mode, there's two different color modes. There's CMYK, which I went over in the last video, is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those are the 4 different ink plates that professional printers use to print their documents. So you always want to have print documents in the CMYK mode. RGB is great for anything for the web or computer screen. So raster effects, always when doing a print project, keep it at high, 300 ppi. This is a resolution. You want to always max it out, and even for digital projects I'll max it out because you just never know when you need to resize it to a much larger size. Okay, so I'm going to have my orientation. Let me do this as a standard portrait size. That would be your landscape size if you want to switch these two. You would do like this, and it would switch it so it's a horizontal. So let's go ahead and do your standard vertical size and click OK. And this is our artboard. This is everything when we export our document. This is everything within that box will be contained in the file, and they just call it an artboard. That's the terminology that Illustrator uses. So now that we've opened up a document, I actually need to go back and add that bleed back in. So what I do if I want to edit a document after I've already opened it is you're going to go to File and then Document Setup. And so now you kind of see the same settings we just had when we opened the document. So we're just going to click up once, and that will add a 1/8 bleed all the way around the edge. So what you do is I like to design my document just to the edge of the artboard, which let me zoom in and show you, which is going to be right here. This is the bleed area. This will ultimately be cut or trimmed by the printer after they print your document. They're going to go back and cut that out. So you're not going to see any of this. This is just to make sure the ink can go bleed all the way to the edge and have a nice finished look without having that ugly white border that you see when you print a flyer at home. So let's go ahead and click this. Let's kind of mess around here with some blocks, kind of create a quick flyer. Nothing exciting. We'll go into how to do this in future documents. Let's make that a different color. Let's make that green. Okay, so I usually like to design to the edge of the artboard and not worry about bleed until the file's been approved, it's ready to go to the printer to be exported. I'll go ahead and click, and I will just drag it out to the edge. And you always have to remember anything in this little fine area right between here will be trimmed off. So you just want to make sure you drag everything to the edge So you have a nice flushed finished look whenever the document's printed. So that's how you prepare a document for a print. So you have to worry, sometimes documents don't require bleed, sometimes large banners don't require bleed. You just have to check the local printer, ask them, hey, does this require bleed, and they'll let you know. And if it doesn't, you can go to document setup, and just set it to 0, and you're done. And there you go. So that's print. So let's open up a digital file. So we're going to do the same thing, File, New, and let's do pixels. We've got to do pixels now. So let's say we want to do a standard Facebook ad. Let's see, that's 1200 by 600. You can find out these sizes by looking it up on the internet. And I'll have a guide too that I'll provide that has the sizing. We do not need to worry about bleed. The digital is much easier to set up. You just have to worry about the size and the color mode. It needs to be RGB, which means red, green, blue. And some people say, oh, well, you need to do all your digital in 72 ppi, which is a standard resolution for the screen. I always go to the highest because you just never know. You can always export it in a lower resolution, but I always start at a higher resolution because it's much easier to go down to a lower resolution than the opposite. Let's click OK. And so here's our Facebook ad. So we can just start designing Facebook ad. Headline goes here. And then we'll learn all about text and how to color things and create boxes and ads in the videos following. And then we'll also learn how to export this photo into a JPEG so that you can post it on Facebook. And it's a nice vector format, so everything's going to be crisp, and you can take this social media graphic and blow it up to a big banner. That's the great thing about using Illustrator in vector format for all of your stuff, digital and print. And that's it for today.